Hello, and welcome back to For the Love of Jewelers. I'm your host, Mark Nelson, and today we are here to welcome Sara Greco. Sara is an Italian jewelry CAD designer with 23 years of bench work experience, wax carving, and stone setting. In today's conversation, we'll talk to Sara about her workflow, tools of the trade, and her relationship with Rio Grande in creating luxury collections. We hope you enjoy this conversation, and thank you for listening. Hi, Sara. It's really great to have you on the show today, and I really look forward to learning more about you and our relationship, your relationship with Rio Grande. As we get started, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your history of jewelry making?
Sure, I can. Hi, Mark. Thank you for having me. My name is Sara Greco. I'm Italian, as you can tell from my accent.
Just a little.
And I've been in the jewelry business for a very long time. I got started for the first time when I was 14. I just saw in my little town in Italy a jeweler through the window. There was kind of soldering and doing
Yeah.
stuff on the bench, and then I got fascinated, and then it just hit me, and then I got obsessed till now, so I never stopped. And I asked my parents for a welder at 14 instead of a doll. So then that's how I got started. That then I went to Institute of Art in Italy for a jewelry. So I did design and everything. And then I got started to go to workshops while I was going to school to just
Okay.
learn whatever. And then I went to take some classes around Italy, Naples, North Italy, Vicenza. They are like the biggest centers for jewelry in Italy, and for different techniques like settings, bench work, wax carving, gem cutting, gem analyzing, and diamond analyzing, and everything. It's been 23 years since then, and then I start working in CAD. So total, it's like 28 years.
Oh, geez. Are you still working at the bench? Do you still?
No, I don't work
No?
at the bench anymore. I switched completely to CAD about 5 years ago. I had a transition moment that I was, try to see if I want to just switch. And then at some point, I just figured, I just commit, or I don't gonna get that good as I
Right.
want. So I just sold everything, and I, looked for a job as a CAD designer, and then I started it, and now I'm just doing 3D art and jewelry CAD design.
You touched on a part where you were a traditional bench jeweler and you switched to CAD. What inspired you to blend that art with the new technology? I mean, there was like a point in your career where you're like, I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to jump into CAD full time. What was that catalyst that pushed you to do that?
I mean, it was it wasn't from a day to another. I had my background in Italy, which is very like old school. So
You're right.
bench work, we don't work so much with platinum, so that's something I learned more in New York when I moved there. And I just wanted to do handwork. I didn't want to hear about technology, computer,
Yeah.
even a printer. I just didn't. I was really into anything about handmade. I was like obsessed with techniques. I want to like really learn everything I could, get into it. And then I moved to New York on 2016 it was. And then there I learned other techniques, also handmade. But in New York, CAD was really present
Right.
in every company. So I got interested, and then I started studying, taking classes from very good CAD designers, and then I got more interested. But it was really painful, to be honest. It's like yeah, it's like because basically it's a totally different way to to work, to
Right.
the mindset. So basically uh, I used to try to work with Rhino, and then I wanted to grab the piece and just do it with my hands. He said I couldn't, and it was super frustrating. At some point, at some point
I
I
get
thought,
it. I get it.
what I'm doing to myself. Like I know I have a job, I know how to do this. I'm very good at that. Why I'm getting into this? So
Right.
I think that's why a lot of jewelers, for a lot of jewelers, it's hard to get to, to transition to CAD, because it's like learning a new language. Like I did, I
Right.
learned English in my adult life. At first, it's super frustrating. You kind of, refuse the idea. Your mind is closed. You don't want to do it. And then in some point, if you insist, it just clicks. And then
Yeah.
you go on the other side. You, of course, keep learning, but then it gets easier because it's like your brain opens up. So basically, it was like that. I just kept forcing myself this, to learn
Yeah.
softwares. And then in some point, Mark, you learn commands. You can learn the commands of the, software. But
Oh yeah.
then you know that to make a piece of jewelry, you have kind of, it's like a problem that you need to solve, right? So
Yep.
I had my tools in front of me. There was the handmade tools, like to work handmade at the bench. And then I have these other tools from the software. I didn't know how to apply it. So it was hard for me to
Yeah.
find a solution to my problem through the CAD. And then, it's just an exercise like every skill,
Yep.
like, learn to engrave, learn to settings, learn to everything. It's the same thing. In some point, I got it. And then it was kind of, I felt free because I felt I doubled in my tools. So now
Oh
when I
yeah.
have a problem, I have all these tools in front of me. I can, solve it, thinking about, okay, this is gonna get print and cast. What the jeweler needs from me to be able to clean it properly. For example, I divide the
Right.
piece in a way. I know what tools he gonna use to get in some point to just clean it well,
Yep.
and to put it together so it looks like my CAD once it's done. Sprue it properly, so it's something that I can imagine. And I think this is a big help, instead of just start only with CAD. You don't have the knowledge, you need to,
Oh, it's
ask.
huge. Yeah, it's huge, man. I mean, your experience at the bench really, I don't know how to say this correctly, but it really explodes your abilities with CAD. Because we were talking earlier, and I envision you working on two screens in CAD.
That's
Correct.
what I do. Yeah.
Right, right. And I totally think that you have a third screen behind the other two.
Yeah.
And that
Exactly.
screen is your old bench. So as you're designing, you're in your other third mind, I guess. You're seeing it being completed as a finished product. You're like, okay, so I'm going to design this part. Well, you know what? There's no tool imaginable that will fit in that space. So
Exactly.
I have to change the design to allow the jewelers at the bench to finish it out, set that stone, and do all the other stuff. So your experience, your old school experience is clutch. It's critical to how well you design in CAD. And
Yeah,
I
there
think,
are also some
yeah,
stuff that, for example, there are, cleaning. You take some material off when you clean. So you need to consider that when you build a
yeah,
piece. And then, so you don't gonna ask, for example, to a polisher how many tenths you gonna take off for your polish. Nobody
right.
answers to that. Instead,
Yeah,
I had my program in front of me, the software, to put the numbers in it. I don't know the numbers. I know eyeballing. I know when
right.
something looks right. That's what I know. And say you have this huge piece because it's a bigger than what it is in reality, and you have to imagine, okay, after polishing, it's gonna take some materials off. How much it's
Right.
gonna be? And say, for example, so it's something that I figure out. Even for bright cut, you need to consider a different amount of metal next to stones than
Yeah.
another kind of settings. For example, nobody would answer me to that. I don't know. It's 4/10 each side. I don't know.
You know it
And
by
I
sight, by feel.
yeah, exactly. So it's kind of something that I had to now I had my guide, but it's something that I had to. It was like really wild.
I was just looking through on your website and all the amazing things that you've been doing. And what kind of tools do you use? Matrix and ZBrush?
I use Metric and ZBrush. There are two software that works in a totally different way.
Yeah.
Matrix is more like really geometric, more like lines,
Yeah.
planes, solids. It's numbers. You type numbers and commands, so it's more like square as a mindset. Instead, ZBrush is really the opposite. I have like a screen, the interactive pen, and then I just sculpt on the screen like I would do it by hand, really.
Like
So
literally
that was
sculpt.
easier for me. Yeah, it
Like,
was easier,
yeah,
more
it's intuitive.
for somebody that worked handmade. And it's something that I use a lot to give a handmade look. It really
Yeah.
works well for me. So if I make something in ZBrush, it's gonna have a certain look. If another artist makes something in ZBrush, it's gonna look different. So that's
Yep.
awesome. Instead with the, matrix gold, it's like there are some things that are like automatic, so it could be similar. Instead, ZBrush, it allows you to really personalize it.
I mean, it puts your fingerprint in it.
Yeah, it's
It really
amazing.
does.
You
You
can
know,
you can see when an object is made from one 3D artist instead of another. So that's amazing.
and do you sometimes combine the two? Like you'll start off in Matrix and
All
then
the
kind of
time. All the
bring it into
time.
ZBrush and kind of make it look handmade. And
Because, matrix is good also to, be precise, be accurate. Also, for example, for mechanism, if you make clasp, and you can do in ZBrush, there is who does it in ZBrush, but I
right.
like having that set up in a program that it's more like, mathematic, more square, thinking. And then also apply stones. You do some stuff that with matrix gold, it gets easy. Instead, in ZBrush, I just get artistic. So that's
Yeah.
kind of usually, it's easy that a 3D art CAD designer goes with one on another because you kind of need to have a certain mindset. For me, ZBrush was more friendly to
Yeah.
use. But then again, I forced myself, to get comfortable with something that it's not really my, natural skills. But then I got good at it, and then now using them together, I think you can do anything because they are
That's
the
like,
best softwares for
I
jewelry.
love combining things. It's like combining fabrication with casting.
Yeah, you have your own workflow.
Yeah, and you combine skills and tools and things like that, that's when you're going to get the best work.
Yes, exactly.
You were talking about learning, starting off in CAD, and that happened to me with laser welding. So, 2000, laser welders started to come out, and my boss bought one, and we looked at it for like 9 months. They were like, "We're not turning it on." Because we can do all the same jobs. Like, we know how to do all this stuff. And he's like, you got to use it. And so he forced us. And then eventually we found out that the combination of welding and soldering was the fastest. Yeah.
I think changing is never easy.
Yeah. You got to force yourself.
I'm not a big fan of comfort zone. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't stay in comfort zone very long.
Right.
I just, moved to New York. That wasn't comfortable. I
Right.
learned English when I was an adult, so it wasn't comfortable. But anything that comes from changing, for me, it's good. It's positive.
It's growth.
I never regretted it to change. So I embrace changing. And you don't forget what you don't forget handmade. I didn't forget, it's in me.
Right.
And it's a competition of what I make. CAD doesn't exist without handmade. So you need to combine. I think it's the key. Combine it.
Yeah. And as you're designing, you have to know what the next steps are going to be too.
Exactly.
So talking about that, you're going to start off a project. What are your initial stages of a project? What are your first steps? Do you sketch out your ideas or go right to the CAD?
Okay. So personally, if I do that by myself, like it's my project, I'm not talking with a designer or a client, I don't, honestly just get to it.
You just jump on the screen and
because I imagine first, I kind of sit to think about it, and then I imagine how to build it. How I really have a big imagination, so I can see where I'm going with that, and then I just start. I just think instead if I work with somebody else and then I need to communicate, then instead sketch or a mock-up in CAD that helps, but just to communicate with the other, with the customer.
Yeah, so it kind of depends on the situation. I'm like you though. I mean, when I used to sketch everything down to the finest detail, and nowadays I just look at my box of scrap and I'm like, let's make something. It's in my head and I can see it and I'm turning it. One of my professors when I was in school says like, you have a CAD CAM brain, so I could turn 2D into 3D in my brain, and I just knew how it was going to work. So,
but that's, I think, when you repeat it, you do things over and over and over and over, you start to just, it's enough for you to think about it. You know how that is going to go. you said at the beginning, I think you need to kind of figure that out. So yeah, I just even when I was, working by hands, I was just jumping into it. That's
just jump into it.
Yeah,
and there's always that little piece too as you're going through it. And you're like, I know where this is going to go bad if it goes bad.
Yes.
You're just like, let's just get through it and see how it goes.
Or the one solder that you say, I'm gonna solder a little more, or I'm gonna leave it as it is. At that point, you don't know how it's gonna end.
Right. Okay. Talking about that, we're talking about your designs and how you get started. Do you remember your? I don't know how to word this question. Let's do it this way. What was your first piece that made a big difference for you? Like when you this might go way back, right?
Yeah.
Early stuff. And what was that one piece that was like, yeah, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. Do you remember that piece?
Yeah, I mean, I was, try different things. Like I said, I did, stone cutting settings. I did many things, but then wax carving was what I was passionate about. I used to carve wax, and I used to use soft wax. So I used to, soft like in sheets. Yeah. So there was just one master here that was teaching that, and I kind of, bugged him so much that then he gave me some lessons to get started. Yeah. So wax was really what got me more passionate. That it's closer to ZBrush, so I think that's why I love ZBrush so much.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I was trying to push me more and more into details. I made this like a dragon, and it was really small. It was like this, that I used to by hands, all the scales and the mouth and all the details and the teeth. And then I was really happy because it was full of details. I said, okay, I can do this. But you need to kind of give yourself time, because when I was younger, I used to be wanted to be good right away.
Right.
I remember one time I was taking a setting class in Naples. There was this Napolitan teacher that was actually speaking only Napoleon, so I had to learn also Napolitan. I know another language. And then he was teaching the class, so as how to engrave in metal, the sign. Yeah. So I started engraving, and then it wasn't good. It was really awful. I said, okay, I cannot do this. I'm not good. He said, can you give it a minute? I was like, So I think it takes time to get good. That when there is a moment that you see, okay, it looks good. You really, get excited. For me, it was this dragon in wax, I think. Yeah, but way back, I was my 20s. Yeah.
Today's episode is sponsored by Durston. From rolling mills to bench shears, Durston tools are engineered to last. Save 20% with Durston 20 now through November 30th, 2025. And a big thank you to Durston for sponsoring this portion of the podcast. Now let's get back to the episode. Well, the standard, is 10,000 hours, right? They say 10,000 hours, and it's kind of true, man. It's pretty true. You got to give yourself the permission to put in that time, and
also I think if you practice do something every day, always, in, for example, 1 year, 2 years, it's logic, it's mathematics, you're gonna get good, better and better in that. I think there is no exception on that.
There is no exception to that, and you just gotta allow yourself to have a bad day and do crap.
Always happen that. Always happen.
You just gotta sit down and push the graver. You just gotta carve the wax. I hated carving wax. That wax was my nemesis for many, many years. And then when I was in grad school, I set myself a project where I was going to sculpt a figurine, a female figure, only using subtraction. I was never going to add. I was thinking of Michelangelo and the stone carvers. How would a stone carver approach this? And I would literally take 3 swipes and then go take a break.
Oh my gosh, right?
Because it took months to do this figurine because I was so nervous, and I knew that every scrape of wax was a commitment. And
soft wax works opposite.
The what?
Opposite.
Subtractive?
The soft wax works in the opposite way. You add.
Right.
Yeah.
And I knew I could add, but I never subtracted before. So I really just took my time. And
you had to commit. Yeah.
And I call her Betty the Jewelry Goddess. And it's a nice little sculptural thing. And we make sacrifices to her before we cast. to have a good casting. So that was the whole
Yeah.
premise of that project.
Also, I was also really into animals and flowers because it's something that in Italy we use a lot. We like, you see the gold a lot. I
Yeah.
mean, we put stones, but we like see the work in metal, like big and visible. So I was really into flowers and animals. It was
Oh,
interesting
okay.
because you don't have colors unless you enamel. So you don't have
Yeah.
a color, you have a few colors. So you need to kind of give an idea what it is. That it's not a cat, it's a panther, for example, without colors. And then I think, you need to get into details. That's the only way to, make it recognizable because in nature
Yeah.
everything has a colors and you don't have it. So, and then also, for example, I used to make, I don't know, a rose, an orchid. You had to give the look that is thin and delicate instead it's heavy,
Yeah.
and castable, so as to have some thickness. So there are some tricks to do it, and I got good at that because I really was passionate about them. I mean, it's a different diamond, different style. It's in New York. It's I found another style, but yeah, in Italy it's
Right. There's
kind
so
of
many
that.
styles to discover. So we talked a lot about handwork and stuff like that, and your growth in CAD and ZBrush. Do you think there are any disadvantages to creating in CAD or ZBrush or digitally?
I mean, it could be, but I think, there is a way to avoid that. So when I get,
Sure.
a job through from like a designer wants to make a collection, for example, I have a lot of requests of people that want to migrate from handmade to CAD because, CAD you have a kind of more control about how many pieces you want to make, and then if you want to change finger size or stone size, you kind of
Yeah.
can manipulate the CAD once you have it. But they are worried that things gonna look all the same or too machinery. So that's the only problem I see with CAD that you can run into it if you're not
Right.
careful. But like I said before, there is like a ZBrush to help you with that, and usually the one also have like a signature or something like a texture or something that you can recognize that it's theirs. So
Yes.
that's what you can do with ZBrush. I made pieces they look like old grandma ring. I swear you cannot tell that it's CAD. So
Right.
if you combine the couple software like I do, you don't run into that problem. I don't like things all the same, is square and just come out from the CAD. So if you
Right.
uh, know how a handmade piece looks, then you can bring it there before casting, and then it's gonna look handmade. So I think I see all just this as a downside if you don't take care of it.
Right. Right. One of the advantages, though, is you have uh, infinite lives, right? So you can save each file.
Yes,
It's like when
exactly.
you make something from scratch from the bench, you have like maybe 3 lives, and then it's done.
Yeah. And then,
But
maybe you make it wax and you cast it, the cast doesn't come out well, and then you
yeah,
need to start over. So there is more flexibility in CAD. That's why I think, a lot of people wanna, to move to that, but they, really attached to handmade look that I understand that. And then
yeah,
again, handmade stays still there because there are, the piece need to be well clean and put together, otherwise you lose all the details and the work I put into it.
yeah. Everything is if in the end handmade.
Yeah,
So I
and
mean,
everything is connected. So you need
yeah,
to work with a good workshop, to finish the piece, to produce the piece. And, the CAD has to be good and the workshop has to be good. And then, you can have a great result as an animated piece.
So that you brought up the subject of workshop, uh, you so you and Rio have partnered with many luxury collections at show events like JCK. But do you mind telling the audience what we have worked on together and the relationship we've developed and how that process works? But before we go to that question, real quick, how do you define luxury? Because
Okay,
I'm
for
always
me,
confused on that a little bit.
yeah. So luxury for me is a combination of different things: beauty, quality, a
Quality.
uniqueness, I would say. So a piece that is well made and with all details cared, and then you wear it, you show who you are. So it's something that, has to have this combination, I think, of things, and that's what I try to bring when I make a piece that it's, high-end fine jewelry piece.
High-end fine jewelry. So we're talking about materials as well, right? Like fine materials and precious stones and metals and things like that too, right?
Yeah, of course,
Okay.
like, platinum, gold, and precious stones, and then, but it has to be done in a certain way. There are some details that define it's a high-end piece and what's its cheaper piece. And that's
Right.
usually I advise my clients that, like, if we do this gonna be the result, is gonna look cheaper, and then this one is gonna look great because, let's say, for example, setting pave, for example, I can do pave in CAD.
Right.
But I think if the setter cut the stone, the metal fresh, then you're gonna see bright, you're gonna see that's handmade. He said, if I put the prongs, that's okay, it's gonna work, but it's gonna look casted. So
Right.
I give advice to kind of raise the level of the collection that they wanna do, or the one of the kind piece they wanna make.
And it's pretty recognizable too. I mean, you can tell right away when something's luxury and what something's not.
It's details.
You don't really even need to be trained. It's like ingrained in our human nature. It's like, okay, that's different. That's a different level.
Even when you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Some details that are there, but your eyes perceive that.
Yeah.
So you will see if it's made with the, care, or if it's just rushed. I think even if you don't know, maybe if you don't know about jewelry, you know what it is, but you understand that something's a little cheap. So that's kind of what we try to do. That's why the partnership was born, because my main focus with them is the luxury, part of the production. So, there are, besides GCK that we do collection, we made a couple collection, and we're gonna make the next one for next year. But, we welcome new customer. They can, wanna to produce a entire collection, raise was something that they have already, or a one of a kind piece. But the point is to make high-end luxury pieces. So that's why we decide to partner together. That's what I do for them. So my focus is that, if a client want raise the level, I guide them. We, have a meeting. I understand what they're looking for, what they through references. I understand what the style is. And then I advise them, okay, this is the way to make a good high-end luxury piece.
Right.
And then we go step by step. It's kind of like an experience also for the clients, because I don't show directly the finished piece. You walk with me through the work in progress, and we're gonna step by step approve, because it's also easier step by step to go back if you need to change something than when a piece is finished. So step by step we meet, and I send the renderings and picture, and we it's also interesting for them to understand more about the background, the how a piece is made, the process, and then till you have a high-end luxury result. So that's our goal with Rio.
So let's walk through one of those projects that we've worked together on. And in our previous conversation, you talked about a white glove experience and a 360-degree experience. So maybe we could work in those two elements too, as we talk through one of the projects that we worked together on.
Yeah, we worked on the Peacock collection 2 years ago, and then we worked on the snake collection.
The snake, I saw the snake.
It's amazing. Collection this year. So basically, we brainstorm. We come up with an idea with a Rio team, and then I wanted to make a unique that stands out. So if, for example, you want to inspire the collection to a peacock, I made a double ring, so a two-finger ring, for example. Or for example, for the snake collection, a wrap earring around the ear, for example. So has to be something that stands out, so it's not just a pendant that stays there. And I cure the texture, so also really Rio was able to retain all the details that I put in the CAD, which is not is not easy. I
Oh,
saw other clients of mine. I put, a lot of effort and details, and then I saw the picture of the final piece that was all polished off. So
yeah.
not, especially with organic jewelry, not everybody can clean up. So you need
No.
to, know how to clean up. And then Rio was, able to do he can clean anything I make. So the snake, you can see every little, the scales,
Every
also
scale, yeah.
yeah. So that's something we want to show what you can do till where you can, get. And then also the functionality has to work well. So for example, the necklace has to be comfortable, has to be, we tried many times back and forth to try on a person and see if it fits well. So because, a piece of jewelry, it's different like than a painting, for example. You make a
Yeah,
painting, you hang on a wall, it just be there.
right.
Instead, the piece of jewelry has to be nice to look at. You need to feel things to look at. Has to be comfortable to
Yeah.
wear. Has to be durable. You know, to lose stones or break the piece of jewelry. So it's, there is a part that is really artistic, and then a part that is really mechanic and technical.
And then
So
engineering, yeah.
exactly. So luxury is when you combine both in an excellent level. So that's what we do. Plus the beauty of it, it's adding texture and details, that you can, enjoy even to look at them.
Yeah, so I saw that snake necklace and it is amazing, amazing. The detail is crazy accurate, and it's still there. And watching it being worn, it looks like the snake is alive. It's just not some kind of metal rod that's laying on the neck or on the shoulders or in the ears. It looks alive, man. It's moving, so it's really cool.
Yeah, also, for example, when if I need to make a snake collection, I don't get inspiration from snake jewelry. That's not how I work.
Right,
Because first of all, because I don't like when I'm like brainstorming to create something to look other people jewelry, because I think, I mean, you also, you do it even when you don't want to because you love jewelry and then you look at
right.
it.
You're always
But
influenced.
I don't want to do it because I know I want to create something unique. So I don't want to copy anything, and the brain needs a little bit, register things. So what I do is go to look the real snake. That's what I do. I don't look
Yeah,
jewelry with snake. So I get inspired with things around me, and not, honestly, not jewelry, things around me, and then make things that that I existed
yeah,
in piece of jewelry. They need to, look alive. So that's where I win, where I feel okay, that's a good job, but then we made a good job.
yeah.
But again, it was nice to know that I can make any details. Rio's gonna retain it. They did an excellent job with the snake. So we
Yeah.
will see next year where we come up with. We are brainstorming, so it's gonna be fun.
Do you think it might be organic still, like the peacock feathers, or an animal of some kind,
I can't
or
say it's too soon.
too soon?
Yeah, I mean, I
that's
always try to choose something organic, because I'm really, I kind of really like it. So
and
I also enjoy making it.
that's what
It's
you
like,
relate to, you know.
yeah, it's like, I don't know. I even forget that I'm working when I work on this stuff. That it's a job, So
That's
there
when
are,
you know it's
there are
art.
different. I accept any, kind style, because you do work with any clients, but there are some jobs that I enjoy more, of course. And then it's nice because Real gives listen, what my ideas are. And if I think something I would make it really great, they listen to me. They say, yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it's nice
Yeah,
to embrace also the tendency of where my skill are are the best, performs the
we
best.
we love a challenge, man. We're you said earlier that you don't like to be comfortable, and I don't think we do either.
No.
So we are constantly growing in the building, our training, our research. Yeah, so we don't
You
like
never
comfortable either.
finish.
Yeah, we're just like, let's do it. Let's figure it out. Let's figure it out is like one of our company mottos. Um, so we covered a lot of stuff today. What advice would you give someone starting out in the jewelry industry? And should they start with the classic pen and paper, or should they go right to CAD?
Um, so this is very personal, of course, because each of
Sure.
us has a different, performs different with different, technique. I think it's important to experiment. I think it's very important. I experiment a lot of techniques till, first of all, while you experiment that you know new things. So it's something that you keep. But then each of us has something that works best for them. For example, I did 2D design. I even colored the drawing and everything.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I'm really into 3D because I'm really into sculpting. So
Right.
that works. It's just, it's more interesting for me. So I sketch, as I said before, but that's not really my, that's how I go. But I would say to start with sketch and see how you feel about it, if you feel good, and then you can, go from that to CAD, but you can also go directly to CAD. I know many jewelers, for example, they cannot draw, and they are awesome jewelers.
Right.
So not
Yeah.
everybody can draw, and not everybody need to draw. So if you feel something you enjoy, I would say stick with that, because follow what you feel, because you're gonna get good. But if you feel it's not something that interests you, you can also just go straight to CAD. So I think, listen your guts and then try. I think try.
Yeah, try and think about other mediums too. I mean, I have a lot of students who can't draw either, and so I'm like, we'll just build a model, and they knock out the most amazing model out of cardboard and toothpicks.
Yeah, but
They're
if you
they're
don't try, you don't know that you're good at that. You don't
right.
know.
Some people are more 2D, some are more 3D. I grew up 2D and then learned to be 3D, and now I'm more 3D.
No, I used to
But
even work with the, I don't know in English that word. Is like terracotta, but when it's they use sculpt with that. Basically, it's
clay,
soft, and they use clay. Okay,
clay,
sorry.
yeah.
Okay, clay.
No,
I
yeah.
used
There's
to
all
work with
different
that.
kinds of clay too. So
Yeah, so that's before even getting to jewelry. I was doing that as a
yeah,
kid. So I think sculpting, it was always for me. But I think a little 2D, I think it's always good, because sometimes you need to also communicate with the client that you have to sketch something. So I think
exactly.
it's good to try that. I think it's good to try that.
I just keep trying stuff. Something's gonna hit. You know.
When I was younger, like I said, I took many classes, and I used to, talk all the time with my masters that are still here. We're still friends. And then they kind of, saw me go from a class to another class. And then I used to say, this is the last one. And then I stop. I don't learn new things. We don't believe you. And then, I got into CAD some years ago still as an adult. So it's like, you never know, because it's always something that you feel it's exciting for you. And then that's the key to keep the,
to keep going.
to keep going. Exactly.
Are you still taking classes? Is there anything new that you're working on?
I mean, when there are, for example, softwares, updates for software, I take the class, see, these new tools, how they work. I'm really excited about that, because, CAD is really every day evolving.
Oh yeah,
It evolves a little bit different than Bench. So Bench has some, stable rule, and then each of us can create our own tools and techniques, but it's a little bit more stable. Instead,
yeah.
CAD, every day they develop the softwares better and better. I'm in contact with the people that work on the softwares that I use, Matrix Gold and ZBrush, and then if something doesn't work, or if this could be useful, a tool like that, for example. So they listen and they
Yeah.
work on it, and they come back with the tool, and it's very exciting, and you feel it's very dynamic. And then when there are classes, they explain what there is new. I certainly take. We never finish learning. I certainly take it, because I like to work with the latest tools and the software updates, and even when I start working with the space mouse, that you can
Space.
yeah, like this one.
That is so
S-
weird.
So basically, before I was working on with the regular mouse, like everybody, and then I got to know this space mouse. I try it, and now I cannot work without it, because it's like
Right.
it makes you move in the 3D space freely, really smoothly. So I'm really excited about all this. So if there's something new, I'm on it.
You're on it. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Sarah, so we talked about your education through Italy and all the masters that you've worked with. Have you had your own companies? And you also work out in New York. So how does that play into everything?
Yeah, I worked for different workshops here in Italy, and then I opened my own company in 2012. And then I used to make my own collection, and then I had my whole shop with all the machines, ovens and cutting machine and molding machine and settings, all the equipment by myself. And I used to do the whole process, which helps me a lot, with the information that I have now that I need. And
Right.
then I moved to New York. I found a job there, and I worked in Diamond District since 2015, 16, in a couple workshops for a high-end luxury brand. And then I could learn, other techniques, working really high-end with microscope and um, platinum. Here in Italy
Yeah.
don't use it that much. And then from there, I started studying CAD, and I decided in some point to switch to CAD. And then I found a job in another company that it's, work for a really high-end luxury brands, and start working on, really important piece in CAD directly. And then I went, after, having some experience, I went freelancing. And then that I met Rio. We started the partnership with him.
Oh, wow, man. So you've literally pretty much worked in every facet of the industry,
Yeah, that's
from like
absolutely what I
sweeping the
did.
floor in the shop to working into high-end luxury manufacturing and CAD and everything else.
I
It's
took I
crazy.
took a tour, like a 360 tour, till, uh, actually at the beginning, at first I thought, I had all these resume as a jeweler, and I did all
Yeah.
this stuff, and then I want to switch to CAD. Maybe, as an adult, maybe it's gonna be a disadvantage. Instead was actually, it's my strength. So that's,
Right.
yeah, why people want to work with me, because I have all this background and I know every
Yeah.
single stage of the process. Yes.
And that's critical, man. Yeah. When you're designing, you have to know what the next step is. And I think we said this a couple of times throughout the cast, is it's a sculpture. I mean, the whole thing's a sculpture. You have to know the beginnings and the ends. So
You need to have a lot of information to get it right, to
yeah,
avoid any issue. Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, Sarah, that's all the questions I have. I had a full list of questions, and I think we just pretty much covered them all. Is there anything that you want to talk about particularly?
I mean, I just think, I think it's important. I kind of mentioned before, but I think it's important to remember that you don't choose CAD or handmade. I think it's
It's both.
important that we are not against each other. That the CAD is not coming to take work from handmade. So I think the key is, working together to, really elevate the product, and really, Mark, go with the time that, you need to evolve with the technology and time that evolves. Otherwise, you kind of stay behind. So I think
Oh,
it's
sure.
important to kind of embrace it, even if it's, not something you used to. Give it a chance. And then, if you work with a good team, there is a CAD that is, a good CAD designer, the, manufacturer, it's a good
Yeah.
manufacturer. They work together, because there is no CAD without manufacturing. So give it a chance and embrace the evolution, because it make you evolve also. So I think I'm really excited about it, and, just trust it and give it a chance.
Excellent, excellent. And let's talk about how people can make this work for them. So we have a link to your website on this page, and in the podcast, and we'll mention that in the intros and the exits. And so they can go to your website and kind of get this process started. How would that work? I mean, you kind of touched on it briefly earlier. So they would come through you, and they would come to you with an idea for a collection or a particular piece. How does that process work again?
So basically, they get in touch with me on my website. There are, emails and contact, and also, the real contact also. So it depends, where you want
Okay.
to get in touch with me, either way. And then, basically, we're gonna have a meeting first, and then I'm gonna understand what you're looking for, ask you some references, understand what the style you are into it, and then we're gonna get started. Gonna start, have some mock-ups, and then we're gonna kind of go back and forth to I really need to get to know you,
Yeah.
because I need to basically keep the core of what you want to make, make it producible, right?
Right.
So at first, if I don't know you, I need to understand really the look, what you have in mind.
Right.
And then also, once you do the first, then I know the clients, it's really, less back and forth because I know what you're looking for. But at first, it's like, I get to know you. In fact, if I make the same piece with two different clients, it's going to come out different because it's kind of a combination of me and them. So it's something, combined. And then, for example, you're going to ask me about the aesthetic, mostly they care. And then I'm going to say, for example, if we change this, it's going to work better. Even if, for example, let's say a 3 stones. And then I say, if we make the prongs in metal with fresh wire, it's going to look much nicer. So I advise you if there's some part need to be made by hands because it's going to look better. And then, if they trust me, I can guide them. And then, after that, we gonna, get in touch with Rio, and then they're gonna take over from there. And then I'm always available even afterwards, if there are some issue or other information that they need. And then it's pretty much how we work, yeah.
So even, and once you get the design finalized with your customer or the customer, and you send it to us to get manufactured, you're still in the loop, right? I mean,
we always all
you're working with
all
us
the time. Yeah, I know. I mean, my clients, I also ask, can you send me a picture when it's done? Because I wanted to see, I want a feedback. I wanted to see if it's done how, you retain all I wanted to retain. And then, usually it's really smooth, so we don't need too much back and forth because I know Rio and Rio know how I work. So usually we know the preferences, but I'm always available, and it's not I get paid, you get the CAD, I'm out. No, I want to see the creation come out, great as we want. Also because I want to create a relationship. It's not that I'm interested to create just one piece. So.
Yeah. And that's kind of like that white glove 360-degree experience that you were talking about.
Exactly.
You may not be right next to them, during the whole process, but you're available. You're right there if you ever needed to be.
Yeah. Also because it's not like, Mark, if you, enter in a store, you just buy, a ring. You kind of don't want that. You want to see what there is behind the whole process.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get involved in that. So you're gonna see it's, they really get interested in that. And I share my screen during the meeting. And sometimes if you really cannot get that detail that you want, I do while you are in the meeting online. So basically, I want to get everything as you want to. And then if the emails and talking is not enough, then I'm going to do it while you're on the screen with me. So it's like, it's really a live experience. And then,
That's awesome.
And then there is, a seamless communication with me and Rio. So, you can just, trust us, and then we're going to take care of everything.
That's all I had. If you don't have anything else, Sara, it's been such an amazing experience talking with you and getting to know more about you. And actually, even though I work here at Rio, it's been great to learn more about this customization process that we've got going on.
We have a lot of things, in line. So just stay tuned and
stay
thank
tuned.
You for
right?
having me. It was really interesting to, have this conversation. And I don't often have the, occasion to just say how much there is behind the creation that I make. So it's nice that we could get into it, really.
It is nice. Very cool. I look forward to seeing what's coming down the pike.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Take care, and we'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thank you, Mark, for having me again. Have a good day.
And that's it for today's episode. We hope you enjoyed our conversation with Sara Greco. If you want to see more of Sara's work or follow her journey, visit her website at saragrecojewelry.com. Once again, a big thank you to Durston for sponsoring this episode. And you can save 20% with Durston 20 now through November 30th, 2025. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Thank you and have a great day.